unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Mike Tyson would beat Deontay Wilder in one round. Not in his prime. I'm talking about right now. Right now with his current age. We're going to talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, head over to my Patreon. I revamped it. It's all new. Simplify some things. Shout out to the people who've already went over there. There is some content that is moving over to exclusivity, Patreon and YouTube channel members. So if you want to be a part of the extended Boxing Ego La Familia, you know, Ego's Army, that's a great way to support the channel. I got a lot in store, especially when, you know, we get out of this quarantine and stuff. I'm just plan, plot, strategizing what we doing next, right? The other thing, if you want to support the channel, you can do it in another great way. Click the link in the description box. We're pushing the ESPN Plus bundle. That includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus. All three of those apps. It's a great time to get them. $12.99 a month. I personally have all three, you know, and there's a lot of content. A lot of people are locked down, stuck at home, bored out of their gourd, stuff like that. It's a great option for you. Click that link. It does help the channel. I'm Disney Ego. Now let's talk about it. A trainer that worked with, and a former fighter that worked with Mike Tyson, you know, later in his career. You guys see the title, Sporting News, link in the description. Says Mike Tyson would beat Deontay Wilder in one round. Jeff Fenech, right? You guys got to know your boxing to know Jeff Fenech. You know, he's not one of the like huge, big, you know, names like that, but it says current day. So this is not in Mike Tyson in his prime. Come and say that to my face, you punk ass white boy, in the ad for the everybody. Not that Mike Tyson, the barbarian, the skull crusher, skullduggery Mike Tyson. He talking about Mike Tyson right now. It says current day Mike Tyson would beat Deontay Wilder, and Roberto Duran would be a 10 world champion if he was boxing today. That's the view of former 3-time world champion Jeff Fenech, who says they don't make boxers like they used to. Fenech, who trained Tyson towards the back of Mike Tyson, Iron Mike's career, says boxers of the 80s and 90s were a class above today's current crop of fighters. Quote, when Deontay Wilder knocked out Luis Ortiz, there was hardly a punch thrown in the fight, Fenech told Sporting News. Boxing's not the same now. Quote, I'd guarantee that if Mike Tyson trained for 6 weeks, he'd knock Wilder out in 1 minute. He would hit them. If these guys are getting knocked out by Tyson Fury, who's a great fighter, but not a huge puncher, Tyson will kill these guys. They're not on the same level today. Mike today, I reckon if he trained, he could still beat these guys. Fury's got these other skills, but Deontay Wilder got a punch and nothing else. If you punch him, it's over. And Mike don't miss. Speaking from decades of experience inside the ring and from training some of the best fighters in the last decade, Fenech believes the sport was much better 30 years ago. He continues his quote, anybody with a brain or who knows anything about boxing in the 80s and 90s and before that knows that boxing is nothing like today. Nothing like it. It's different today. I look at Roberto Duran and he could have been a 10-time world champion today. He still could. Some of these guys are great, but it's just not the same today. They make a lot of money and get fame and fortune, but they're not hungry. These fighters today couldn't have handled Roberto Duran. They couldn't have beaten Ray Leonard. They couldn't have beaten Tommy Hearns, Chavez, Arguello. The list goes on. Those guys were warriors. I think of Roy Jones. He could have fought in any era. Chavez could have fought in any era. Duran in any. But some of these guys today, I don't believe they could. A rough-nosed brawler who could match it with anyone in his day. Fenech prefers the up-tempo, all-out style of the old-timers over the more calculated approach we often see today. So what changed? I don't know what changed, but I look at these guys doing their strength and conditioning session in the day, and I think that it takes the edge away in the fight and as a fighter. You want to have all that energy and strength preserved for when you box. That's when you want to be at your best. Ray Leonard and everybody else, they didn't do all that stuff during the day, and they were able to fight 15 rounds at an amazing pace. These guys do all that and they still can't throw punches, and they still can't last or fight at a pace. He going in. Although he respects what Canelo Alvarez has done in moving up weight divisions to win titles, and he appreciates Vasily Lomachenko's style and movement, Fenech sees 3 current day fighters as standing out from the rest. Tyson Fury is one of the most skilled guys I've seen. I still think he's doing some little things wrong, but he believes in himself. He has a plan and he sticks to it. I see the best fighter pound for pound in the world as Terence "Bud" Crawford and Inoue. Inoue leaves Lomachenko skill-wise as a professional for dead. I'd watch Inoue any day over Lomachenko. The only thing about Lomachenko has over him is he's bigger weight division, so there's a bit more money there. But when you're talking sheer class and skill, I love the kid. Now, just so you guys know, this is a DAZN group, you know, this company. See, I didn't know that in the past when you used to see Eddie Hearn do interviews with them, exclusive stuff. That's why. Listen, I'm going to say my thoughts. I think Jeff Fenech, it's hard because some people like this article, like what he's saying in this article, link will be in the description, right? Go check it out and give this site some views or whatever. And some of the things that he's saying, I actually genuinely agree with and understand. But I feel like some of what he's saying in other stanzas of the article and the interview is a bit absurd, you know, and it's a bit over the top. So it makes it overall, it's weird. Have you ever heard somebody giving a debate and you're like, yeah, they're hitting you off with some good points. You're like, oh yeah, tell them, you know, that's a great example. Keep going. And then they keep going. And then they end up saying something that's a bit OTT, you know, it's just a bit OTT, you know. Sylvester Stallone, the Hawk. Hey, you know, I gotta do the arm wrestling. It's over the top, you know, over the top. It's just over the top. And I think that's where he took this interview, you know. So I disagree. I agree with some aspects of what he's saying. I understand. But I think part of why he's saying these things is, you know, genuinely people want to kind of encapsulate that time in history that made them feel good. You see what I'm saying? Like even look at music. And me and my brother have very similar tastes in music. But let's say for hip hop, since he's my older brother, he might even, you know, bump more of Das Effect or somebody that, you know, is dope, very dope, you know, and EPMD, because that's more his generation, you know, and I can rock with them, and I respect the pioneers. But I also remember, you know, like the Fabulous and G-Unit and stuff like that in different eras. Like, man, Lloyd Banks is killing, you know, the Punchline King and, you know, Cassidy's and stuff like that. So it's also a generational thing. So you argue with certain people, you know, I don't know about this new mumble rap, you know, because I think all of that stuff mid 2000s and before is true hip hop and beats any day of the week, a lot of the stuff. But for these kids, they might think NBA Youngboy is the illest out, or Lil Pump or Lil Skittles, or, you know, all these dudes. I don't know all these names and stuff, you know, Young Pooper, Scooper and all that. So that generation, just like me, I don't really understand this TikTok. I see a bunch of chicks that can't dance and moving too fast for the beat, and they think they're killing it, but, you know, the kids like it. So that's what I kind of feel like. I feel like he was a little bit over the top with some of the stuff. Like, to say, and Mike Tyson, my favorite fighter. I have a couple favorite fighters. I always talk about them. It's Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Prince Nassim, and Roy Jones Jr. Those are my all-time fighters. And it's a hard list because I got so much more that I learned from and appreciate, like Floyd's and Ray Leonard. David Tua is one of my guys. So I have a lot of fighters, but that's my core, gotta have list. Where they changed my whole perception on boxing. And there's also been individual fights, but enough about me. The bottom line is, Mike Tyson, one of my favorite fighters, and to say him at his current age will knock out Wilder, who's 6'7" and has crazy power. And, we could look it up. Mike Tyson hasn't fought since probably early 2000s. Mike Tyson, let's pull it up just for ish and giggles. Right? Probably since early 2000s. Boom. Told you. He ain't fought since 2005, which was a loss to Kevin McBride. So he lost his and he lost to Danny Williams. Lennox Lewis, okay, that's a dawn. So I ain't gonna even say nothing. But his last 2 fights were losses in 2004 and 2005. Now he's doing a podcast. That's a bit extreme. Now, if you want to go the argument, this man, prime Mike Tyson, that's different. But he just had Sugar Ray Leonard on the podcast, and Mike Tyson was basically saying like how he feels a type of way. He's like, cause I was just a scared little boy. I was petrified. I was nervous, and my whole life I was a fighting machine, and I was taught to fight and rough people up. And so that's why that guy, when I look in the mirror, I'm afraid. I'm scared of that guy. I'm trembling because I don't want him to come back. And he's doing this whole thing on his podcast talking about how he's a changed man. He's like, I just don't want to go back to the old me, because it's like Cuth said. Cuth, he told me I would be a champion one day. Cuth said that nobody could fuck with me, And he's doing all this talking about he's a different person. I mean, trust me, look, this man look crazy still. So I wouldn't fight Mike Tyson, like even current day. I don't want no smoke with him. I'll be like Michael Blackson. I'm just a bitch-ass nigga. Please don't. The pink motherfuckers. Do you know who you're dealing with? I'm not saying, but to say a professional current heavyweight who has a 90% or whatever it is knockout ratio would like this Tyson, that's different, because this is the pinnacle Tyson, hungry mindset. Mike Tyson was a phenom, especially when he was disciplined, but getting money too fast, coming up too fast. But it just, people like the Fenech, they just miss me with it. They miss me with it because it's just too over the top. It's too radical. So I don't rock like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you saying, I get what you're saying. And just like Michael Jordan feels his Bulls could beat anybody. He feels like, oh, we'll stomp LeBron's current Lakers. You see what I'm saying? Because we was playing the bad boy Pistons, and there's no doubt about it. The NBA was definitely tougher back in the day, in them Jordan days. They were throwing vicious elbow. Now you see guys, they were flopping, and big guys flopping and stuff in the league, and they get calls and roll around and complain. So the league is different. Sports are different. I mean, even listen to Mike Tyson. Listen to his old interviews. He's like, they'll ask him the simple question, are you ready for your fight? I don't know. They took all my money. Can I at least get a blowjob? Like what are you talking about? So it's just a different game. The comment that he said to the female that was asking him a question, he's like, are you talking out of turn? He's like, normally I don't do interviews with females unless they trying to fornicate. So what's up? You can't do that. Now there'd be a Me Too and the BLTs be on you and all types of stuff. It'd just be crazy. So of course sports evolve. This Fenech sounds like somebody who doesn't want to kind of keep up with the times. He's saying that Wilder, because he started going in on everybody, But I do like that he gave Bud Crawford his just due. I told you, Bud could very well be a generational fighter. He's that good. You know, he got the skills, he got the mindset, he stay in shape. You know, he's that dude. You know, you don't see Bud ballooning up and weighing in naked and stuff. He's true to his craft, and he got the mindset, he got the skills. He's a dog. He got heart. You know, he showed a chin, all this stuff. But, you know, to say Tyson will destroy Wilder at age 50, whatever Tyson is, you know, that's just a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? Even if you said he would knock Wilder out in 5 rounds, you know, at least that sounds better. But to me, Fenech is doing a little bit too much, you know. And he's like, oh, he got knocked out by Tyson Fury and he's not a huge puncher. Yeah, but he's also almost weighing, you know, who knows how much he rehydrated. He weighed in the day before almost 275. So he could have been 300 pounds and Wilder had an off night, you know, legs was shot, looked like from early on. So, you know, it is what it is. You can get knocked out. It's not like Wilder got knocked out and it was shivering on the ground, you know. And like I said, anytime you're dealing with a 300-pound man, there presents a danger. So every time I was listening to Fenech in his interview, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, that's dope. And then he would just go too far. He's like, nothing like today, different. I look at Roberto Duran. He could have been a 10-time world champion today, you know. And he's also, you got to keep in mind that although I value the classic, see, I don't like making this because he making me. I didn't want to do this, but y'all made me. Fenech made me do this. You know, I don't like doing this because I don't want to feel like, I don't want to sound like, I don't really want to even compare the old versus the new. Tyson is his own era. Wilder and Anthony Joshua Fury, they're their own generation. You got to just embrace what it is. You know, it's just like, oh, who would win, Donnie Yen, Jet Li, and Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee? You know, it's just like, we're talking about different eras, different stuff. But the thing I will say is there's been advancements. He's saying like, oh, strength and conditioning is weak and stuff. That don't have nothing to do with a fighter who lacks discipline. You see what I'm saying? If a fighter lacks discipline, it don't matter what era you're in. If you easily distracted, things like that, then, you know, you're going to be in trouble. So that's something totally different. But there are advancements that have been positive. There's things about nutrition and medicine and supplements and cryotherapy that weren't really available when Frazier was fighting. So it's not like these guys all did things based on certain things. Like you did it based on the time you come up. Like, do you think Ray Robinson wanted to have fights that were announced on the radio and there's really no actual high quality, you know, recordings of it? Or that's just subject to the time he came up in? Hit him on the left, hit him on the right. You know, on the radio, you got to listen to fights. It's just a different game. So it's nonsensical to try to compare things. These guys have social media and different things like 4K and, you know, things that weren't around during that time. So it's really hard to compare, you know. But I do understand aspects of what he's saying. I do think some guys aren't hungry, and some guys, because you can make so much money in one fight, they only want to fight one time a year. But again, it's hard to quantify and really truly compare, because would Ray Robinson, if he was making what Danny Garcia or Pacquiao or somebody can make now, would he really fight every 2 weeks? Probably not. There were times where Ray Robinson would have a signed fight. You go look at your boxing history. He'd have a signed fight and he would threaten to pull out last minute until they paid him more money or asking for more money. So he had to do little stuff like that to get compensated properly. You don't really see stuff. You don't see Canelo saying, oh, you know, I'm not fighting. I was born ready. I won't fight Golovkin. You know, you don't see him doing stuff like that because he's getting paid handsomely. So it's just different eras for different reasons. Respect to all the great eras in boxing. You know, I came up in, you know, the Tyson era and seeing the Roy Jones. So I definitely had the utmost respect. Those are the people that really, Mike Tyson punch out even, you know. This is what really got me into boxing. But I do think Jeff Fenech also went off the deep end, you know, kind of just making it. Those guys were warriors. We still got warriors today. You know, we still got Arturo Gatti level warriors today. You know, and you can't. It's really unfair what he's doing. That's my whole point in this video, because you can't really compare certain things. Because like Rocky Marciano, I hate to break this to you, but wasn't a big heavyweight. So yeah, he undefeated. But if he had to fight Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, who, even if you feel Rocky Marciano is skillfully better, he was competing at 188, 189 and weights like that. How's he going to beat a 6'6" Anthony Joshua who weighs 260 diesel with punching power? Or Wilder, who's athletic, 6'7", and you can't get on the inside, you know? So you have to put things into perspective. Like, for example, Rocky Marciano had his nose split. And watch. So you got to know your boxing history. This is Rocky Marciano's nose. Look how bad his nose look. His nose look like a cut. So imagine getting hit. You got a cut like that, and then Wilder hits you on the tip of your nose. Your nose finna fall off like Mr. Potato Head. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, the guys were warriors and stuff, but I mean, a guy that size, it's not likely that some of the smaller historic heavyweights would have fared well with what is basically, in today's standards, really super heavyweights. You know, Wilder's the only one that has his height wise, he's there, but you know, he's the one that he has to eat up and to weigh 230 and stuff like that. You know, these dudes are like, there's cruiserweights that are bigger than Rocky Marciano to this day. So I do think there's aspects of what he was saying where he was dropping gems, but he also, to me, went over the deep end, like I keep saying. And, you know, to say Mike Tyson will sleep him in one round, I mean, come on. That's just a little bit over the top. And I love Tyson, but you know, you really trying to play Wilder with that. You know, even if you felt like it would have been better just saying prime for prime, you know, because then you can make a solid argument. Because, and see, this is why I don't even like doing this, because everything is subjective. Mike Tyson just said he'll lose to Ali, but you have people arguing that Ali would have beat or lost to Tyson prime for prime. But Mike Tyson himself said he would lose to Ali because he has the most respect for him. You know, rest in peace. So, you know, all this stuff is subjective. But to say Mike Tyson will come from hot boxing with Mike, he can sleep some people, trust me. George Foreman, Mike Tyson, they can sleep you, you know, the average person. But we're still talking about professional athletes. Like Jeff Fenech is so stuck in the past where he's not even like remotely showing like, you know, an iota of respect to today's athlete. Because and you know, the funny thing is, like they say, history repeats itself. You look at Roberto Duran, awesome fighter, legend, icon, you know, for the sport, ambassador, right? But he had his own problems. Like, he used to balloon up in weight. So it's like he making it sound like only today's generation is lazy, and, you know, Broner or Errol or whoever gains weight. But Roberto Duran, history repeats itself. Roberto Duran, after the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, they said he gained weight. So, you know, you can't really do that. So it's better to just keep each division in that division and keep each generation in that era. Like, you know, you can't, who's to say that Floyd Mayweather couldn't beat Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez? They didn't fight. I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather, you know? So that's my 2 cents. Let me know what you guys think. Would Deontay Wilder lose in one round? But props to Crawford, Inoue, and Inoue. They're definitely very skilled. Interesting that he said Inoue leaves Lomachenko skill-wise. I told you that boy Inoue is nice with it. He's nice with it. And old media, they sitting up here talking about Lomachenko. We've never seen this ever, and he's the next Muhammad Ali. He's solid, but there's clearly guys who are skillfully better and harder to beat. But that's my time. Sign up for the Patreon or join and become a YouTube channel member. We just having fun over here working, quarantine or not. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego, signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.